Hey guys, so I wanted to talk to you about my transition story. Let me start off by saying that if you're watching this video right now and you're transitioning, you're already leagues ahead of where I was. I never knew that there was this huge online community for naturals. I grew up in a West Indian household with I wouldn't say my father was strict, but he was very passionate about what a woman's hair should be like. So my mother, God bless her, used to wash my natural hair just regularly, and then she used a very narrow-toothed comb to detangle it. And I have these memories of being a child and crying for like an hour straight, calling for my father, calling for my sister, come hold my hand, this is awful, mommy's killing me. And so the idea of getting a perm was like a godsend for both me and my mother. I mean, our relationship was, those Sundays when she washed my hair, like, it was not good at all. So at 13, I got my first relaxer, and I kept getting them for years and years and years, and I managed somehow to keep my hair very healthy. So the idea for me of going natural in my late 20s, early 30s, it wasn't because my hair was unhealthy. I'd gotten my regimen pretty down pat by that time, but what changed was where I was living. I moved to Washington, D.C. back in 2008, and there are so many beautiful Ethiopian and Eritrean women here rocking their hair naturally with beautiful curls, beautiful afros, so many different textures and curl patterns. I mean, it's intoxicating. Just walking down the street in DC, you are so inspired by other women's hair. And I had a great stylist who was actually relaxing my hair and helping me keep my hair healthy, who was Ethiopian. And she had this beautiful afro. She still has this beautiful afro. And we would talk every now and again about the possibility of me going natural. And then what pushed me over the edge, believe it or not, but I'm a little embarrassed to admit this, was seeing Chris Rock's documentary, Good Hair. I mean, seeing how relaxers were made, seeing what it did to certain products, and knowing that I was putting that on my skin and letting it seep into my body, it was overwhelming. I couldn't handle the fact that I was doing that to myself and had been doing that to myself for years and years. So I finally got the courage to kind of get over myself and the idea of having to cut my hair so many times and letting go of this security blanket that I had really wrapped up my self-esteem in, and just kind of letting it go and being okay with the way I was made. And honestly, being curious. I didn't know what my hair did because my mother never really let it be when I was growing up. She always manipulated it into braids and pops. I never knew really what was going on at the top of my head. So curiosity, Chris Rock, and the women of DC really, really helped me go natural. Yodit, my stylist, she and I had this conversation in December of 2009. So we decided that my transition was going to be one focusing on length retention. My father would have freaked out if I had just done a big chop right off the bat. I would have freaked out if I had done a big chop right off the bat. We decided that I would get light relaxers. So my first relaxer after that, I want to say, was like in February, and we did a really, really light relaxer. And she put it on my hair, she combed it through, and then we went to go rinse it out. It wasn't on my head for any kind of particular time. And then we did that one more time in April, and at that point I said, you know what, I'm done. Like, I feel like there's enough of a middle ground between my natural hair and my relaxed hair that I could just keep on growing my hair. Now, again, being completely ignorant of all the different transition styles that are out there and all the videos on YouTube and all the blogs and commentary that give so many great suggestions on how to transition, my stylist suggested that I blow dry and flat iron my hair to keep the two textures the same. When the day of my big chop came a year later, so that was April of 2011, I was super excited. I mean, my curls were nothing like I had imagined. I was so shocked and so pleasantly surprised by the way that I looked that I didn't notice the ends of my hair and the differences between my left side and my right side. I realized that on my left side, my ends were practically straight. And I said, my stylist didn't cut off all my relaxed hair. What the hell? But when I went back to her and said, you gotta do something about this, she showed me how everything was even. She brought out each side and she's like, look, I'm cutting everything evenly. I'm doing this the way I'm supposed to. And I should have trusted her because this woman is a genius with scissors. I should have completely trusted her. But a few more weeks passed and I noticed that this side was still limp and straight and I didn't know what the hell was going on. So finally, I said something to my friends who all had natural hair, and the verdict was I had heat damage from all of that blow drying and flat ironing. Even though I had used protectant measures, I had used, I think, Aveda's heat protectant over and over. So I went back to my stylist. I told her, we have to even this up. We have to get rid of this dead hair that's going on. And when she was done, I had lost so much length that I had fought for during my year-long transition. And it was really sad, but that was the day that I commemorate as actually my big chop, because that was the day that I could say I had 100% natural, healthy hair. And I was nothing but me. That was back in July of 2011. During my transition, I didn't do any research. When I told my best friend, who had been natural for quite a few years now, that I was gonna go and cut off all my hair, she's like, so what are you gonna use tomorrow when you have to get up and go to work and style your hair? I don't know. I didn't have anything. I went home with a few products from my stylist and a few tips, but I didn't have the proper combs, I didn't have the proper brushes. I mean, the things that I had they weren't gonna work. They were not going to work on my hair. I wish that I hadn't used so much heat during my transition. I could have just been baking my hair as opposed to frying it. I could have been doing roller sets. I could have been doing flexi rod sets. I could have been doing braid outs. I could have been twisting my hair. I could have been doing all these different beautiful things. There are so many alternatives besides blow drying and flat ironing your hair that you really have no excuse. It's for the health of your hair. And in the long run, you're gonna be happy because you're gonna end up with this gorgeous, healthy hair at the end of the day when you finally decide to cut off all of that relaxed hair. And you're gonna be so grateful that you did it that way. So don't be like me. That's the lesson of this video. Don't be like me. Don't treat your hair while it's transitioning as though it's relaxed. It's not. It's a completely different beast altogether. What works for your hair when it's natural is not the same as what works for your hair when it's relaxed. I hope this is helpful. Catch me on Tumblr, hit me on the comments below. Don't be afraid to give me a shout. Love to hear from you guys. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.